Hello, my name is Jovan Karadovic, and this is my video response to one of the IE admissions application questions. The question that I have chosen to do is the one where I'm going to describe an activity that I enjoy doing, and I'm going to be talking about sports. The reason that I've chosen sports is because it's a very big part of my life, and because I love doing it, and I don't know what I would do without. The first one that I'm going to talk about are my daily workouts and going to the gym. I go to the gym at least 5 times a day, and that's something I love doing. One of the reasons that I enjoy going to the gym is because it keeps me energized and it gives me lots of energy for the rest of the day. That is the reason why I prefer to do my workouts in the morning. So I start my day with a workout, and then it keeps me going through the day. The second sport that I'm going to talk about is snowboarding. Since I was 4 years old, I went to a lot of skiing trips with my family, and I used to be a skier, but at the age of 14 I decided to change to snowboarding, and I'm glad I did it because it gives me a lot more adrenaline and it just looks better than skiing. This sport is very important to me as well because it made me the person I am today, because it made me realize how strong of a person I am, because the first year when I started snowboarding, I broke my shoulder, and there were lots of complications that came with it, but I just came out as a stronger person from it, and it made me realize that I never give up, because even though those things happened to me, I continued snowboarding, and I even enjoyed it, and I enjoy it even more, right? Even though all of these things happened to me while snowboarding, I love the sport even more now, and I enjoy it even more, and I just don't do the stupid things anymore. The next thing I'm going to talk about is trekking, and this is the activity that I mostly do when I'm back in Montenegro during a vacation. Our tour guide takes us to a lot of different places every single time, and the sceneries that we have seen are absolutely breathtaking, and because Montenegro is full of natural beauties, there is always a new place that can surprise us. Even though I do most of my trekking in Montenegro, I have done it in different places as well. The two most important ones for me, and the ones that I think are worth mentioning, are the ones when I went to Petra and when I climbed the mountain Kilimanjaro. What I loved about Petra the most is the fact that whilst being able to do some kind of sports activity, I was also able to learn more about the history of human people, and I think it is absolutely incredible to what they were able to do and make in the 1st century before Christ. And I found it very enjoyable to be able to learn about their ways and how they used to live back then. The next one that I'm going to talk about is probably one of my biggest accomplishments in life, and that is being able to climb the mountain Kilimanjaro. The climb took us 6 days, and it was very, very hard. At some points I would faint, and I wouldn't be able to walk anymore, and some people even told me to give up, but I really didn't want to, because I was there, and the purpose of my trip was to climb the Mount Kilimanjaro, and I knew that I had to do it. In many instances during the climb, I have surprised myself as I managed to do some things that I never thought I was able to do. And during this climb, I learned a lot about myself. I always knew I am an ambitious person and that I will make sure I finish everything I have started. However, I never knew to what extent I could go. I realized that sometimes I will give the last atoms of my strength in order to be able to achieve a goal I have set to myself. This whole climb has challenged me in so many ways, but the night or the day I reached the top was certainly the most challenging one. That night we slept for about 2 hours, and I already had a fever and was very exhausted from all the previous days. It was very cold, to the point where I almost had frostbites, and I was falling asleep, fainting every 5 minutes on the way. At this point, I fell asleep from exhaustion, and my guide told me that it's a better idea if I give up, because I probably won't make it. I couldn't do this. I couldn't give up, because I was so close coming to the top, I could see it from where I was standing. In the end, I'm very glad I didn't give up, because once I reached the top, I was immensely proud of myself for managing to get there. Even though I have struggled a lot during this climb, I'm very glad I went for it, because I'm very proud of myself for managing to do it. And also I'm very happy to be a representative of my country because I'm the youngest Montenegrin girl that has ever climbed the Mount Kilimanjaro. Also amazing about this trip is that I have made so many long-lasting relationships with a lot of friends. And also some of the sceneries that we have seen is something that I know is never going to be able to happen in my life, because at one point we were above the clouds and at night we could see all the stars in the world, and that is something that no one can ever describe, and it's something that a person needs to experience for themselves. Skydiving is probably one of the most interesting sports that I do, and I enjoy doing it. I have recently gotten my A license, which means that I am able to jump by myself without any supervision of instructors. In order to obtain this license, I had to do a ground school, which contained of 10 types of lessons that started at 8 in the morning all the way through 6 in the evening. And later on, we would have to do a test and see if we have passed it or not. This sport is considered to be quite a dangerous sport, so our instructors make sure that we know everything about all the things that could happen and how to solve them. The first time that I jumped out of a plane, I thought I was probably going to get a heart attack, but once I was out of the plane, I was completely calm and I knew everything that I was supposed to do. All the things that my instructor have taught me, I have done, and I have successfully passed all my levels, and later on did my 10 consoles on my own, very successfully as well. What I think that is very incredible about this sport is the fact that it gives me a completely different perspective on the world, and I'm able to jump and fall through air for a whole minute, and then I'm able to open my canopy and enjoy the scenery. I think this is something that everyone should do at least once in their life, because it is a completely unique experience, and I'm pretty sure that nothing else in the world is like it, because anything that I have tried before this cannot be compared to the feeling that I have once I skydive. Another sport that I have recently taken interest into is rock climbing and bouldering. Both of these sports are a type of rock climbing, but the difference is that with bouldering, you are not tied to a rope, you don't have a harness, and you are climbing onto the rocks without any type of protection. That is the reason why the walls in bouldering are much lower than the ones in rock climbing. In rock climbing, obviously, you are tied to a rope and you are able to climb to how many meters the wall is, and you are more protected than in bouldering. What I like about bouldering is the fact that it's more challenging and it's a bit more scary than rock climbing, because you don't have any protection around you and you are all on your own. The next sport that I'm going to talk about is shooting. The first time I started this sport was in one of my summer schools, and halfway through the summer school I have decided that I want to change one of my sports for shooting, because I just wanted to try it out. Once I managed to change my activity, I came to class and the teacher told me that I should probably not do this class because I don't have enough time to go through all of the lessons and end up shooting from a gun. I decided to prove him wrong, and I did my best to go through lessons very, very quickly, and I did it much quicker than anyone before me. And also the first time that I shot from my gun, I got a bonsai, which is straight in the middle. And I was proud that I managed to prove an expert that I am able to do something, even though they tell me I won't be able to do it. At the end of the summer school, my teacher gave me the gold medal in shooting because he thought I was amazing, and I was very proud of myself because I managed to still do all the courses and also be the best one out of everyone in the summer school. On one of my recent visits to Abu Dhabi, where I went to visit my friends, I went to one of the shooting places there. That was the first time I shot from a rifle, and it was very interesting, and I was very proud of my accomplishments because I managed to get most of the 10s, some 9s and 8s, and I managed to get onto the leaderboard of women that have ever shot there. The next activity that I'm going to be talking about are both wakeboarding and sandboarding. First time I tried sandboarding was in one of the deserts in Gran Canaria. What was very interesting about this desert is that actually the sand has never been there before. It was brought there from Sahara Desert in Africa with the winds. What I find very entertaining about these two sports is the fact that I'm able to use my already obtained skills in snowboarding, but I have to adapt them to the different surfaces that I found myself into. The only bad thing about these two sports is the fact that I'm not able to do them very often, but anytime that I visit the desert or I go to the seaside, I try and do them as much as I can. The following sport I'm going to talk about is surfing. At first, when I took up the classes of surfing, I thought it was going to be very easy because that's how it looks like when the pros do it. But actually, later on, I realized how hard it is and how there are so many different ways of how to catch a wave, and it is very, very hard to balance. And I'm looking forward to this summer because I plan on taking up some more classes of surfing, and I'm hoping to improve some of my techniques. The last activity I wish to talk about is scuba diving. The first time I tried this activity was in one of the islands in Africa, in Tanzania. And this is one of the most beautiful places that I have ever been to, and I'm very blessed to be able to try scuba diving for the first time out there, because the water is very, very clear and you are able to see everything very nicely. What I find very captivating about this sport is the fact that once you are underwater, you are in a completely different world. You focus on the seaside world and you focus on all the creatures in there. They are absolutely fascinating, and the fact that I was able to look at them was very surreal at moments. Hopefully, I will soon be able to obtain my scuba diving license so I can go scuba dive by myself and anywhere I want. Apart from all of the activities that I have already talked about, there are many other activities that I have tried at some point in my life, and those are bungee jumping, flyboarding, horse riding, parapenting, trampolining, rafting, go-karting, and archery. I think of myself as a very lucky person, as I have been given an opportunity to do so many different kinds of sports. As I'm such an active person, whenever I travel somewhere, I try to incorporate a sports activity into it. Most importantly, all of these activities keep me very healthy and full of spirit. Sport is something very dear to me, and it keeps me full of enthusiasm, and it makes me want to always try something new. Not just that, the real challenge for me is to be the best I can while doing it. All of the sports that I have tried throughout my life have shaped who I am today. They made me realize how powerful I am, and they helped me be more determined about any goal I have in my life. And the most important of all, these sports make me flourish. They help me explore the world and experience it in many different ways. Furthermore, it undoubtedly inspires me to do as many things as I can as long as I'm alive. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to hear from you soon.